guys, Fernandes, Lembo on the grid. Virtual cornucopia of sports, but one of the coaches said they liked on the grid. Who was this, and what was the comment? John?
Yeah, at the weightlifting at Manatee yesterday, I was told that we should keep doing the show. That he really enjoys it, and not just football season, but all the stuff. So always good to have a fan out there.
It's good to know that people want to hear us talk about other than football.
Right,
it's football crazy, but when we talk about other things and people are still interested, that's
pretty cool.
That is good.
Yeah.
But like I said, John, a cornucopia of sports. But let's get to the football news that happened this past week. John Warren, Elijah Freeman, two head coaches, Bayshore and Southeast, stepping down. I guess John's going back to Illinois.
Right.
I guess in Freeman's case, they thought he was coming back, and then he stepped away. A big commitment is needed to coach football now. I think a lot of people won't realize that.
It really is. I mean, it's something where now it's almost like a year-round thing, and obviously the pay isn't that great. It's a stipend on top of your salary if you're a teacher. It is a huge time commitment, and what you really hope is that your players and your staff also buy in too as well. So I mean, people think it's just a few hours on a Friday and a few hours of practice Monday through Thursday, but to do it right. I mean, Joe Cadan and Paul Meckley, I mean, they used to, talking to them, they would break down film for like 7 hours on a Saturday, and maybe even on a Sunday too. So if you want to do the job right, it is a huge time commitment to coach football.
I read in your numbers column, I think Warren coached, 21 games there compared to what Meckley did. Yeah. I mean, it's still early. Do you see the school looking outside the school again, or is there anybody on the staff who could take over that program?
Well, I mean, Daniel Bradshaw, the AD, told our Dennis Maffezoli in the story that they're going to look internally and externally as well. I mean, to me, I think you owe it to yourself to broaden your search. I'm sure there are people on the staff they're very high on, people who've expressed interest. But like I said, I think when you have an opening like this, I mean, we just said how big football is, not just for each school. I mean, for each school in terms of the tent pole of your athletic program. So you definitely want to make sure that you cast a wide net and see what happens. So I'm sure they're going to look outside then inside, and it's definitely going to be a tough choice because I think both jobs. I mean, I think Southeast a little more attractive right now than Bayshore, but still, it's a head coaching job, and those jobs don't come along every day. So I'm sure they're going to get plenty of applicants and plenty of people from here and elsewhere who are interested.
Yeah, Bayshore has always been one of those programs to me that has sort of slipped through the cracks up there because we got all the other schools, Manatee, Southeast, Braden River. It's always a small team in terms of numbers. Right. It seemed like it would be a lot to turn that program around into a winner, wouldn't it?
It's hard. I mean, not a winning season since 2003. Haven't been in the playoffs since 2005, and it's rare you see that given how the cycles of high school sports. But it's it's hard to get traction there the last decade or so, and whoever comes in is, I don't know the secret formula because obviously if there was a formula or something, someone would have done it by now. So it's definitely it's a challenge, but you find the right person and who knows, maybe they can turn it around and spin it in the right direction.
Talk about spinning in the right direction. We'll segue into something near and dear to my heart, girls high school soccer. We have district finals coming up. Actually 3 tomorrow. Manatee at Lakewood Ranch, you saw Manatee play. They're going for their 3rd straight district title. Just assess this matchup. Manatee, even though they're at Lakewood Ranch, do they have the inside track here, you think, for
It's
history?
tough. I mean, they split during the regular season. Manatee beat them in the regular season the first time in 3 years earlier, but Lakewood Ranch, even the score winning at Lakewood Ranch. This is a huge game for Manatee because Manatee's won 2 straight, but Lakewood Ranch is in a different district. And Lakewood Ranch, I know last year Venice went to the Final Four. Lakewood Ranch has always been the class program in girls soccer in this area. So if Manatee were to beat them on their home field to win a district title, I think that'd be a huge feather in the cap for Manatee. I mean, they feel they got 12 seniors on this team. They feel they can go far and make a run to the Bay. Lakewood Ranch is Lakewood Ranch, and Guy Virgilio every year has that team in contention for a district championship and a regional championship. So I think it's going to be a great game tomorrow night at Lakewood Ranch. Should be fun. At
4A, you got Braden River at Northport. I was at the 1A a couple of nights ago where Bradenton Christian
huge win.
Will make their first district final in program history.
And regional tournament too,
And regional tournament. It's kind of a nice story. Butch Morley, who's been out there for 11 years, started the program. He's stepping down after this year and making the first final. ODA is the favorite, #1 seed.
Right.
I think the fact that the Braden Christian has made it into the district final is a feather, like you said, maybe a feather in their cap as well.
Yeah, huge. And as you mentioned, Butch Morley stepping down. I remember a few years ago, I covered a district match for Braden Christian, and there was that year the numbers were so small they were contemplating not fielding a team. So the fact that they're playing in district final and playing in a regional tournament, yeah, huge step forward for that program. And the thing about Braden Christian, like all private schools, is all the grades are in that one school.
Sure.
So now even the younger kids are watching this, and they may say, "Hey, I want to play soccer here at Braden Christian when I'm older." So definitely a big win for now and for the future of that program.
I was at, like I said, out there a couple of days ago for the ODA Sarasota Christian game, and I was standing there next to an adult photographer, and both teams were lined up at the middle of the pitch.
Right.
And I made the observation. I said, "Look at the body language on these girls
Yeah.
or on teams, and you can read a lot into body language."
Oh, yeah.
ODA players standing like this, straight, looking straight ahead.
Right.
Then you look at Sarasota Christian players; they were sort of hunched over. They were talking to each other. Ultimately, ended up being a 5-0 deficit. So you can easily tell body language. I'm sure you've been at events where you can say, "Look at that team; they don't look like they want to be out here."
Yeah, I remember going back to football for a second when Manatee beat First Coast for the state title a few years ago. Before the game, Manatee's players walked on the turf, and the First Coast guys are fielding punts,
Right.
and they were kind of making some sounds toward the Manatee guys, and the Manatee guys never move their heads. They just were all just like in a line. I'm like, oh, like this team's here for one reason,
Right.
to win. And yeah, you're right. I mean, body language, all that stuff. You watch long enough, not just in high school sports, but in pro sports too. You can kind of see what team has that bravado and what team doesn't, and that usually has an impact in the final result.
And sometimes it's reflective of the team knowing that, hey, we're better than these guys.
Right.
And conversely, the other team
Right.
not realizing they're not as good
We're not
as the opponent.
we're not better to the point where we're arrogant. We're
Right.
better to know hey, we play our game, no one's going to beat us, and that's fun. That's gonna, and like Manatee Ranch tomorrow night. I think both teams feel that way, so that's why that'll be a good match.
3 good matches
Yeah,
tomorrow
definitely.
night. Let's switch over to a sport that doesn't get a lot of pub, and that's girls
Right.
weightlifting. Charlotte won the district title. They're sending 14 lifters on to the region.
Yep.
You got Port Charlotte winning. You were at that Charlotte weightlifting match.
Yeah,
What
at Manatee,
what did you glean from that? I'm amazed. You look at some of these girls and the weights they lift.
Yeah.
Incredible. Incredible.
Right, and they have the two events, the bench press and the clean and jerk.
Right.
And the clean and jerk to me is more fun to watch.
Right.
Because that's when they have to clean it to their shoulders
And then
jerk.
push it up, right.
And it's fun because they're always challenging themselves, and you get 3 lifts to get your best lift in each event.
Sure.
So yeah, it's definitely it's fun, and I think the cool thing I saw yesterday is I saw some girls there who play other sports.
Right.
Who are realizing that weightlifting, it's a great sport in and of itself, but if I do weightlifting, I can maybe get better at volleyball, at soccer, at basketball, because it's a great sport. It's not just a sport that bulks you up. It helps a lot of things, and it's kind of fun to watch.
Some of the best football players who have come out of this area, strongest guys, the guy for Venice, were weightlifters also.
Right.
So there's really a cause and effect there that really one
Definitely.
helps the other.
It does, yeah. It makes you stronger, and also it's a good discipline too. It kind of keeps you focused on sports.
Speaking about discipline, the clock is staring us right in the face. You talk about discipline.
You and that clock.
Oh, yeah, me and that clock. Let's talk about boys hoops next week.
Sure.
A nice little event, the MLB Classic.
MLK.
It's been MLK Classic,
Yeah.
MLB Classic. I'm thinking of the All-Star game. You got Booker, 13-5, going to Riverview, playing Riverview, number
Right.
1 in the state. Booker, 13-5. Is anybody going to take out Riverview?
We'll
They
see.
lost to Alonzo, but can anybody take this team out?
We'll see. Good local rivalry.
Right.
We'll see. I mean, they're the team now in boys basketball. They're the team, with the bullseye on its back.
Right.
So, they're gonna every team they play, whether it's Booker or whether it's a team you never heard of, is gonna give them their best, and let's see how they handle it.
A colleague, Dennis Maffezoli, sort of touting a story we have coming up. He did a story coming out on Sunday on point guard DJ Bryant. Without revealing what the story was about, he's a kind of a player that just works 24/7 at his game.
Yeah, Dennis told me some finer points to the story. I don't want to give anything away, but it sounds like a really good story, really interesting kid. And you read about and you hear about him, and you wonder, okay, that's why they're so good, because they have guys like that in their team working hard and not just in basketball, but other facets of their life as well.
And I think he's a perfect example where maybe if you do put in the proverbial 110%, you can make up for any shortcomings you have.
As Jacob Huseman said, the Braden River quarterback, hard work pays off. No one's lying to you about that. His exact words. I thought that was a great statement.
35 seconds left. The Braden River football, the quarterback.
Jacob Huseman.
Going to now.
Appalachian State. He was committed to FIU, and he decided to change his mind.
Right.
But he has until February 3rd to make it official, National Signing Day. So we'll see what happens.
I mean, you think he stays with that, or anything
We'll
can happen
see.
until
Anything
then?
can happen until then.
So see,
Until pen hits paper.
Right. So even as the wintertime here, still football news, weightlifting, basketball.
You got it.
We'll be here to talk about it next week.
We sure will.
So for John Lembo, I'm Doug Fernandes. We'll see you next week on the Grid.